Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Artur Rehi podcast. I upload 1 or 2 podcasts a week, and you should just subscribe to the podcast to be notified about any future uploads. Today, we have a very interesting guest. She is from Ukraine, but now living abroad. Olga Reznikova, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, hi everyone.
So, I understand that you left Ukraine. Can you tell me a little bit about how the process went for you?
Yeah, actually that's crazy because while I was doing videos, I'm doing videos a lot for foreigners, and most of my audience is foreigners. And foreigners in general was much more worried about situation in Ukraine than Ukrainians inside. So they were writing me so much. How are you doing? You need to go, and all this invasion will start. And because they were writing me all the time, I start feeling that maybe I really need to move at least out of the capital because I was living in Kiev. So I went to West Ukraine, where I originally is from, and this area considered very safe from any Russian influence. They are not interested on that part, so we saw that it would be fine. And we didn't think it would be for sure such full-scale war with all the disasters. And we thought that maybe there will be some provocations. So we decided to stay a couple of weeks aside. And when in the morning of 24, we wake up and we found that that was a rocket attacks all over Ukraine and much more far to the west even than where I'm staying. We start thinking that, wow, this is very strange. And still we didn't think to leave in the first day. But you start living in the surrounding where you have, all the movies start on that day on TV, everything stopped. And it was only news 24/7, how everything is getting back, how all bad, how all people are panicking. And you are reading all posts in social medias that everybody is writing that we are leaving. You're getting out of the home and you see the huge float of the cars, because my home located around some kind of intersection of many highways. So I see that it was total disaster, and you start feeling some panic inside. And we start thinking that maybe the things will get worse very fast, and to some moment we would not be able to leave and we would be surrounded or something like that. So that was our idea. And we decided, okay, let us go to Poland, just like tourists. So we didn't think to be refugees or live for a long time. We will just go out for 1 week. Let us see how the things will go, and we will return. And since we start getting out of Ukraine, it take from us something like 4 days. We were staying on the border, and we were moving.
4 days on the border.
Yeah, we were moving something like 3 kilometers per day. That was very crazy experience because nobody was expecting that. Yeah, and for sure after this, we moved to Poland and we rented an apartment just in Airbnb. And we see that the things getting worse and worse and worse. And also in Poland on that time, all news, all the bad things in Ukraine. And actually, the first months in Ukraine, it was all the things was getting worse, and they were trying to surround Kiev, and they were doing all these atrocities around. So it became very hard to find available apartment at all, because 2 million of people flooded Poland, and for sure they're not getting spread it equally for the whole territory. They're going to the major cities, same like we did.
Yeah.
So we find one place, then another place, then we understand that we need to search for something more long term, because we see it's not finishing and we are not able to rent even something for long term. So we had relatives in Denmark who invited us to stay in their apartment, and we went there. We stay a bit, and because the response of European countries, what actually can you do, how you can stay, and where wasn't coming in the right on that time. So they also didn't know what to do. So we wait when the things will get sorted. And because all my family speak English, we decided we need to go to English-speaking countries, and UK was the nearest somehow, because Canada and US sounds very far for us. We don't want to stay out of Ukraine for such distance. And this is how it appears to be in UK at the end.
What a story. I mean, you really, like, it's like a gypsy life. You travel around, you don't have anything to settle down
that
with,
was
and
actually,
you have kids. I
That
mean,
was very crazy.
how,
Yeah,
how
the main difference, because some people said that you're lucky, you moved to Europe or you moved to UK, and some people see that this is nice to move. And this is nice to move, but in general, it's good to live in high developed countries and so on. I cannot say it's bad, but when you are planning that you need to immigrate, you are preparing yourself, you are searching for a job, for education, you are making research about the country. And
yeah,
in this case, you're getting thrown out of your life when you actually had a couple of
yeah,
appointments today to go to doctor, and you had vaccination for kid appointment after a couple of days, and you had a lot of plans. You agree with some workers who did half of the work in your house, and they still need to come and finish, and all that just dropped in one day, and you left it, and you go to nowhere with no things.
wow.
So that is stressful for sure, and I guess sounds like,
I can imagine a lot of
yeah,
stress.
something
Yeah,
like first months I was really in stress because you don't know what you need to do at all. You know that you need to back to Ukraine, or should you already start settling up your life here? And yeah, it's like really like gypsy. But now somehow it's 9 months past, and yeah, I already get to idea that until the things will get stabilized, I don't want to back with the kids. So somehow I start building my life around already in UK.
so as much as I understand, you don't want to go back until the war is over.
Somehow, yeah, because you never know what to expect. So, for example, most of the people, they return after 3 months, and we returned first time also after 3 months to Ukraine. And really everything was seems like, wow, everything already fine. There is not much rocket attacks. Kiev is not getting surrounded anymore, and life is going back to normal. And then out of nothing, you will find another shot of a lot of rockets attacks, and now they start hitting infrastructure for all over Ukraine, and you have people who are sitting without everywhere, actually in all parts of Ukraine. You don't have electricity, heating, and this is very terrible, and you don't know what else they can have in their mind. So better to stay aside out of all this stress, and once the things sorted out, you can come back peacefully and start building your life again in Ukraine.
It's so weird. I really love listening to this. You talk about this. It's actually a really kind of a sad story, but you talk about this. You're smiling. You're energized. It's nice to hear that you're taking this like happily and positively, and this is an attitude you need to have, I guess, in these tough times. And I'm really glad to see that you can smile while telling this story. But I also know that it's incredibly hard.
It is hard,
to live like
and
that.
it is very disturbing because you are out of your comfort zone. But I guess for me personally, I was always preparing myself that, we are living in the world with this changing so much. Recently, I was reading one historical book where they were about 5th, 7th century. And they said people was born, live and die, and they know nothing will change around them. No new technologies was appearing. So yeah, it was taking very long time. And people know that the life is super stable, and this is the track which you need to choose, and this is the result which you will have. And I got an idea that nowadays we are living in totally opposite world. So we know that everything is super unstable. Whatever life you have, whatever job, what your profession even, your profession can be not useful after 10, 15 years anymore. Or after 15 years appearing professions which you could never imagine that they could be. So I guess I was preparing myself for that, and that's why my job was somehow managed remote, and I have YouTube channel. I have a lot of activities which didn't change since I moved, so I don't feel that my life totally dropped to zero, because I take something with me somehow, my activity, my things, my family, so the surrounding changed, the material things around changed. But and now I have the same idea that you actually need to invest in yourself, in your knowledge, in skills, in learning something new, building connections, and whatever later happened with the world, because we also don't know where it will all reach, you will always be able to rely on yourself at least. And I guess this is the most important things nowadays.
I read your Instagram post where you answered some questions about living in UK, and do you miss Kiev, right? And you answered, oh yeah, floors with heating. I do miss the floors with heating.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm in Estonia. I'm talking about this war, but I have floors with heating. I can turn it up. Like, I'm a lucky guy. And this like reminds me of how much there is to lose actually. Like the things we get used to, and how fast can I go.
I guess every community, when you are living in a specific country, you have specific things which is here is very common in your community. So, for example, we have so much farmer markets, we have special type of apartments or buildings where you used to live, and we have actually high-rise buildings. So, especially in Kiev, it's 25 floors. So, just in my building, I have 4 pharmacies around. I have all kind of shops within, I guess, 5 minute distance. I could buy whatever I want in this life. While in
Yeah.
UK, you are living actually in residential area where you have no shop around, one pharmacy where I need to
Yeah.
drive sounds like 15 minutes to eat. And this is the city. I'm living in Cambridge. I'm not living in some kind of village outside. So this is just a feature that you didn't used to have before. And yeah, it's a bit hard to adjust somehow. But yeah, let me just give me a second. I see the delivery guy came. If I can go for 1 minute. Yeah. Okay.
Olga from Ukraine, everybody. She moved to the UK, and as you can see, she's delivering all of this with such a positive emotion. I think this is a very good state of mind to be when you're going through such struggles in life. To have this attitude towards life, I think you can go through anything, and it's contagious.
Yeah, thanks for waiting. Yeah, so you're just getting used to some things and you're moving to another community which used to totally different things. There is a lot of positive moments, and I guess if you are targeting to run business and you are somehow internationally minded person, UK has a lot of benefits compared to Ukraine for sure, because it's much more developed economy. It has PayPal, which is not available in Ukraine, Amazon, Facebook merch, so many different things. But yeah, sometimes you're missing simple things like just going to market, to farmer market, and find some fresh fruits and vegetables for relatively very cheap prices.
I mean, I lived 3 years in America, and I really much started to miss some foods that didn't have in California, right? I live in Los Angeles. For example, they didn't have dark breads. They didn't have some foods that you also have in Ukraine, like borscht, selyanka, all of those like Soviet, Russian, Ukrainian foods. I don't want to offend anybody here, but like these old time foods, you know. So I started going to Russian town to buy these foods. Pelmeni, for example, dumplings in English. Like, have you gone to the Russian town yet?
We
or?
don't have here Russian towns actually, but we have Polish a
Okay.
lot, and Polish are so much. And yeah, I'm definitely going because
Oh,
they have
it's the same,
yeah,
yeah.
they have buckwheat, which we used to have in Ukraine, and I don't think you can have it anywhere else. They
Yeah,
have
I eat
dumplings,
it also.
exactly this, and yeah, they have pickles, all the things which we used to have in Ukraine. If you feel that you're missing something, you really need to go to Polish shop, and you will find it there.
Yeah, or yeah, indeed, Polish shops. And especially I remember, like, I wanted all the beer they made. I don't know if you drink beer, but all the beer they made was made out of corn, and I like beer made out of barley. So I got these Baltica beers or whatever.
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, I bought these beers. So, but yeah. But what can I ask? What do you do? Like, what is your job?
Yeah, actually, I have a couple of things what I'm doing in general. So I have the company in Ukraine, which we did company formation, residence card, migration assistance for the foreigners, and we still can do that, but obviously we have much less clients who need something and I actually don't want to do, I sometimes tell them, you need to wait better, because I don't want them even to promise something, because you don't know how much things can take from the government, and you don't want to be the one that you promise something and you cannot do. So basically this is one thing which I did. Another thing, it was real estate, and I still have connections in Ukraine, and if somebody want to come and search specifically for specific real estate as per his needs, so this is what we do. Plus I have in general here in UK, I also found a job also working with immigration. Mainly this is people who so the owners of the company are Ukrainians also, and their target were mostly Ukrainians and Russians, but I come actually to attract more people from foreign countries because I have this experience and I'm working with them on this also. And in general, I plan to have more certificates in project management and build more personal business related to immigration or something. So yeah, my plans,
You have a lot of things to do.
yeah, my
Like a
nearest
lot.
plans is actually to get more knowledge, which I see here in the market is required, because this market is different from the market which we have in Ukraine. And it's always interesting to know something new and to see how you can work with this type of people, regardless where I will live later. Because if I will live later, I still can run business here. If I will live anywhere else, I can. So I plan to be international. I don't tie myself to specific places because we see it's very beneficial if you're not tied to specific place nowadays.
What amazes me is that you're talking about this and you're able to do this like with kids. If I know mothers, young mothers around me, I see that they're like struggling so bad with the children. They cannot move, they cannot sleep. Like, how are you able to do this?
No, that's actually
Where does the energy
the
come
things
from?
that you are not able to sleep and do anything. It's when you have newborn kids or the kids which is very, very
2
little.
years.
Yeah. So this moment with the first kid, I actually, because my daughter one is 7 years old already. So this moment happened when I was just building my YouTube channel and didn't take from me much time to make videos. It was something like once a week I can do something. And when I had the second daughter, I was already having my business running on a track. So you don't build a lot. You already have the system which is working and you just need to control. Plus, I find that it is very hard for me. So I hired a couple of assistants who were helping me in everything. And it became much easier because I just need to control the assistants. I don't need even to control the process. So yeah, this is how it is. And now they're bigger, so they don't require so much attention. They can go to nursery and school. So now it's easier.
Okay, yeah, that answers the question. Yeah, but still, I'm amazed about like the energy that comes off of you. You have a lot of you're vibing.
Yeah.
So like,
somehow.
I want
No,
that
but
when
I'm
I have
not
kids
alone.
in the future.
I have my parents with me who is helping me. I have school.
Oh, they moved to UK?
Yeah, we all moved together. Yeah. So I have this all together with me, so it's much easier for me.
Oh yeah, that definitely helps for sure. Yeah. So I watched on your channel. You also talk some topics about Ukrainian war. You talked about why the weapons aren't as new to the Ukrainian soldiers, and why aren't all the Ukrainian soldiers fighting on the fronts? Like you're not a military personality at all, like not connected at all, but you're still doing these topics. How did you get into that?
Yeah, actually, while all my blog was related to Ukraine, so for sure when the war started, I could not talk about anything else than this. And there was a huge questions from my viewers and my audience, what's going on and how the things. And actually, most of my videos usually is a response to some comments, which I see is very common. And some people is writing it in a bad way, some people write it in a good way, but I still see that they don't understand. So, for example, Americans, they think that we supply so much, we give so much money to Ukraine, and still they said they don't have something, they don't have weapon, they still, because I was making video that we in Ukraine, we're donating so much money and collecting so much money for uniform, for these drones, for all the things. They were questioning how we are spending so much money and you're still collecting for something. So I want to explain that we have 1 million people fighting, and America is not funding Ukrainian war 100%. This is the first thing. So yes, they're giving money, but they're not funding 100% because it requires much more if you want to fund 1 million people. Then second thing, that the money which they're giving, it's not a cash that they threw to Ukraine and you can do whatever you want with that. This is actually dedication from the budget, and it's going to weapon, and we have this weapon in Ukraine, so why you think we don't have it? We have it, and this is this HIMARS and all other, which is super expensive weapon, but we have it. So yeah, I see that people not able to understand, and I think that if I will explain some points, which I know at least by myself and with the basic research, they can have some better understanding of the situation. So that's why time from time I come up with war videos, and time from time I try to balance and do other videos related to other parts of life in Ukraine.
It is very necessary. Indeed, most of my viewers, most of the listeners to this podcast are from America. This is what my YouTube analytics tells me. So answering these questions is very important. And sometimes I can see the questions coming from Americans. They are they ask these questions like they don't understand, but I can understand how they don't, because they're so far away and they're not really connected to this land or like this culture around it. So getting the viewpoint from you in Ukraine, I think like it's one of the best answers to get from that.
Yeah, actually, not just Americans. Americans, they're totally far, but even Ukrainians who move abroad and they have all relatives inside and they're reading all Ukrainian news. They still, once I'm coming back to Ukraine, I see totally different pictures than what I'm reading on the news by myself. So you somehow build in some imagination, and then you see that, oh, it's not exactly like that. It has some differences here and there. For example, when on May I was traveling to Ukraine, it was written that no way there is no fuel at all anywhere in Ukraine. And we bought a lot of,
that's what the news say.
bought a lot of fuel with us. But in reality, I showed in my videos, I found, it is expensive. It is only for cash, or you just need to wait. But it is there. It's not that there is zero available fuel or something.
Yeah.
So I understand Americans. They at all watching American news, so they cannot show you everything for sure. So that's why their imagination sometimes of the things is different. It's not everybody, but I guess it's good to people who understand, they understand. People who don't understand, it's good to give them some input. So if they want to change their opinion, they can change it.
Totally, I totally agree, and this is why I never get mad at them also, and I never get mad at the Germans also. For like a lot of people have been mad at Germany, like, oh, they're the reason why Russia's doing this and that. They're not giving Ukraine enough. Well, they have been living in this nice, peaceful society. It's very hard to adapt to war like that. Boom, okay, it's war, let's give everything. Like, Germans I think they're doing good. I think they're giving okay, and they're adapting slowly.
All countries are doing good. And even Ukrainians inside of Ukraine, I don't see that Ukrainians inside, they have any bad attitude toward any foreign countries that why you don't give us enough or something. I guess everybody is very thankful for everything what they had. And second thing that Ukrainians inside, they're also in very different positions. So we have people who are in front line living or in occupied territories who lost everything. Their houses are destroyed, or even don't go for occupied territories. You can have people around Kiev when they were surrounding, they have their houses destroyed. And at the same time, you can find people in Kiev who is going to nightclubs, who is celebrating birthdays, weddings. They have parties.
Right now?
Yeah, right now even. And they want to have everything. They're going to shopping malls. So, and you have even internal conflict between these people because they said that, why you're doing that? Or if you're doing that, don't post it in social media because other people will feel offended and so on. Yeah, there is such things. Because Ukraine is a huge country. You cannot make everybody live in the same miserable way. Somebody is more affected and somebody is less affected.
It's weird, like the person who makes thumbnails for me is from Ukraine. We talked to Telegram, and he just wrote to me. I just got the notification that they lost power because it's gonna be Ukrainian Army Day tomorrow, and they're expecting the Russian attack. I don't know if Russia just attacked, but they lost power right now. Maybe it's just a blackout. So I can imagine people in Kiev, wanting to party it out in the nightclub, and boom, the power goes out.
Yeah, I guess people are adopting to all these things. For me, it also, while I'm out now, it seems very crazy for me. And I always keep connections with my friends and relatives, and they're living in different parts of Ukraine. And you can find for somebody, I actually have the city, which is big city, my native city, they had no electricity for a very long time. And my house, which is in village, exactly 3 kilometers around city, they said we don't have any disconnection of electricity at all. And I see on my cameras, because I have cameras, that cameras is always on, Wi-Fi is always on. So it's just 3 kilometer difference. But in some areas you have, in some areas you don't have. And I have my relatives in Kharkiv, which is at all on the Russian border. And they were bombing them all the time. And she said also for the recent 2 weeks, she didn't have any disconnection of electricity. They didn't have any air alarms. And they're very fine. So that was very weird for me.
Weird.
Yeah, how it could be. But
it's strange.
Maybe it's not the whole city. Maybe this is just her neighborhood. But she's saying that, no, here we are fine. So that's very interesting to hear because you are building your picture of the things totally in different way when you are just watching media than when you are talking to local people. You see their current
You're in
situation.
the West. You're true, you read the headlines in the West, you get, bombs there, death, destruction. But you're living in Ukraine, people are going to nightclubs, people are adjusting. So it's such a different, story. That's why I think it's
I
very
need to
good
say
that
that
Americans
it's not
watch.
something that everybody is going to nightclubs or something, or
Oh yeah, no.
maybe nightclubs exactly at night. Maybe I'm wrong because I guess there is still
The whole
curfew.
country is
But I
going.
have friends and I see that they're going to some parties, they're going to weddings, they're having nice dresses, they're doing makeup specifically for some events, they have photo shoots. So the life is continuing, but you need to correct your life based on the circumstances which is appearing in your area right now in this moment.
But I mean, I kind of agree a little bit that life should continue and you should be able to do these things, because if you stop all of these things being afraid of whatever might come, you cannot live. The society cannot function. So I think Ukraine is adapting wonderfully. These things are still happening. Weddings are happening. Parties are happening, and they should.
Yeah.
I think so.
And actually, when I came on May to Ukraine, so it was just 3 months since war started, and I went to first supermarket, I found there are so many cakes for sale, and the cakes which has short expiry date, which is something like 5 days only. They have a lot of cupcakes, all these beautiful things. I'm thinking, really, somebody is buying this in the war? But yeah, people are buying. They don't want to live bad. If you have if you was living a good level of life and you still can make it good, you don't want to go and drop yourself and you're done. I'm just eating bread and water and let me see what will happen. People don't want to sacrifice in reality if they have option to not sacrifice.
Yeah. And also for the mentality, it is very important to at least feel that you have some parts of your normal life, that this Russian invasion cannot take everything from you. It will save your mentality. Otherwise, you will lose yourself.
Yeah, definitely. It's very depressing, actually. I have also a friend who is living here with me in UK, and she came back to Ukraine recently for 2 weeks. And she said that without electricity, it's very depressing to be in Kiev. You have this sound of generators everywhere. It is total darkness. It is cold. And yeah, she said 1 week I was inspired, but then I feel that it's getting very, very depressive, and she back to here. But everybody have different stories. I guess everybody have different starting point from where they are starting. So you cannot really compare all people and their situation by any means. Everything very different.
Yeah. But always the thing with generators, this is quite a recent thing. They started receiving a lot of generators. Everybody's using them.
Yeah,
the sound
everybody
of generators.
buying it. Actually, even here around me in UK, everybody sent one generator for sure to his home, to his relatives or something. I had generators at my home before, so I didn't send. I just tell that go collect it from my house, because I was living like outside of city, and sometimes we can have problem with electricity because of like storm happen or something. So I buy them a lot before, so I don't need to send them to my relatives. They could take it. But in general, I understand that, yeah, because you have in Kiev, for example, in high-rise buildings, people don't have gas at all. They have only electricity. And electricity, this is water, heating, and cooking. And in one day, there was 50 hours, I guess, no electricity. And if you have specifically small kids, you are not able to cook them even, and you cannot keep giving them sandwiches, and even the fridge will not work actually. So the situations are very crazy, and I didn't go so much deep into that, but our people already know that there is generators for outside, for inside, which one is better, which one better for apartment, which one for what. And imagine people who is living on 25th floor or 20th floor, and he need to go up and down without elevator all the time, and with kids.
Oh,
this is very
God.
crazy.
I didn't.
So
the elevators
for
won't
sure,
work.
nothing is working. This is disaster.
Of course, but I never connect 25 stories of stairs, and you're like 50, 60 years old, perhaps
you
70.
don't need to be 60. I don't think that I would be fine to go 25 here and back, here and back.
I wouldn't be fine.
It's not. Don't go for 25. Go for 15. It's not easy, also. So yeah, this is another point. And most of the buildings are high rise. And tied only to electricity. So without generator, I don't know what you need to do at all at home. This is very crazy. And so far as I know, so many people going out to villages, at least because in village you have this old-fashioned kind of stove that you can put it some heating, and you can go to washroom outside because you don't need even water, because in city this is total disaster without water, imagine. So yeah.
I mean, that's what I grew up with. In a house in a small town, we had two big like stoves in the house. One was for cooking and one was for heating the home. This huge I don't know how you call it, like a mantelpiece. You put wood in and it's warm. Like in the winter, it was minus 20 Celsius. You had to wake up 7 a.m. to put the wood in, so in 4 hours you can close
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hatch. So the
We have the
coals are,
same.
the right timing. So you had to wake up. I hated this as a kid. It was a chore for me to do. Like, I don't want to wake up and go and get wood. It's cold outside. But now I can see it actually saves you. Like, you cannot destroy this with electricity.
Yeah.
It just works.
Yeah. So, and
So,
you
yeah.
can have water valve, for example, at least, because, yeah, big cities in this case is really disaster.
Yeah, this is a wake-up call for Europeans also, because all of Europe is working, like, going for electricity and gas. And we depend on both of these things for Russia, actually. I mean, we have depended, not now, it's changing, but Russia had the power to play around with these things, electricity and
Yeah,
gas in Europe.
definitely. This is why I guess Europe make this sanction recently, because they understand that what is that, because first they was threatened only by nuclear weapon. Okay, we will not shoot nuclear, we will go and destroy everything around. This is very crazy. And there is more things
Yeah.
besides elevators, because when you are thinking that elevators, how old people will go, there is more crazy things which they are
Yeah.
showing, that they are doing some surgery on the heart for the kid, for example, or any kind of
Yeah, I
things,
saw the
and
video,
or the whole
yeah.
electricity disappear, and you have the kid which is with open heart surgery, and that is more crazy.
Yeah, oh my God. Oh, I saw the video, and they told in the video that actually the surgeons are carrying like these huge car batteries or like batteries with them all the time. If electricity goes, they have to finish the
This is
surgery,
very
and people were holding
and this is,
flashlights.
what are you doing at all? With whom you are fighting? And it is 100% things targeting civilians, because army don't really need electricity this much like civilians. So
I guess they want to make Ukrainians live the same way that Russians live on the other side of Urals, without toilets and without electricity.
exactly.
Yeah. You have a YouTube channel, right? I wanted to, we talk about this stuff. It's obviously pro-Ukraine, and I'm pro-Ukrainian, but I've recently gotten so much Russian trolls on my comments, hating on, oh, this guy's brainwashed, oh, way to go, coping mechanism, brainwashed much, stuff like that. So how are you with that
No, I'm
on your
fine.
channel?
Actually, it was very interesting, because before I started to talk about war, I almost didn't have anybody. I had maybe little by little, because they always didn't like Ukraine, so it's not something comes new. But after war, I noticed how many people, and you can see that the same idea of the comment, but they are writing, and if I will go to the settings, I can see all comments wrote how they write in time, and I can notice they are writing one after another, the same idea, but by different phrases. And it is exactly the same Russian propaganda, because they are working on it so much. They need to start writing, so other people. And some people telling me, why are you reacting on that? You don't need to reply to them. And I'm saying that I'm replying to them because somebody can read it and start thinking, oh, yes, she's not talking about that. They're hiding something. She has nothing to say or something. So I'm telling my point of view, and if somebody starts being not sure to whom he needs to believe, at least I will deliver my point of view, and then the person can decide which side he wants to follow.
Yeah, I mean, I always read comments, but recently it has been quite painful, because you see these pro-Russian people commenting, and you read them one after another, and you're, oh my God, I don't want to put my head into this play. I don't want to give them time. I don't want to give a second of my life to these comments, but I'm still reading, and I figured maybe I should just read less comments, because it's kind of dangerous nowadays.
No, actually, I had different strategy during different times. So sometimes I were deleting them just because I was thinking that I don't want to be the place for Russian propaganda. They don't need to do this in my channel,
exactly.
because we all know that this is propaganda. We don't need to play into democracy, that anybody can tell whatever he wants, because it's obviously they're talking totally crazy things. Then I stopped deleting that, but I start replying. Sometimes I'm making video replies to that. So I'm balancing somehow between all the things.
Okay, so you get them also. I know that everybody gets them then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But, I don't know what to ask you now. I really don't. What do you miss the most about Ukraine?
Actually, I guess I'm missing lifestyle in general, because lifestyle, especially I was living in a big city, in the capital, lifestyle of the capital is totally different than lifestyle of the city where I'm living now. It is 100,000 people. Even the city is very beautiful. The things,
My city is 100,000.
yeah, but the
so
lifestyle is
same
totally
size.
different. So once you're used to something, you are missing it. But at the same time, I'm trying to build the things around myself somehow to not live by past, oh yeah, the things is very nice and here it's very miserable. I really can't wait when I come back to Ukraine, because at the end you will back to Ukraine and you will miss some things in UK or in any other country. You will feel that, oh, they had some
Yeah.
nice things as well. It's always happening, always everywhere. So I don't want to have such strategy, and I just try to pinpoint the things which I like here and use them and close my eyes on the things which I don't have and I'm missing here.
Honestly, like to feedback you, you're such an optimist. Look, I cannot find an entire video. In entire video, you haven't said a negative thing about anything. You're such a positive person.
I guess, yeah,
It's
I
like-
guess in general I'm very
Yeah, it's-
positive person, and it's not that I'm always positive because of, of stupidity or something. But like, sometimes people who is stupid, they
I
don't
wouldn't think that,
understand
no.
anything. But I
No,
tried,
but-
and I had some negative moments. Not all, I don't want to show them in the video, but I have sometimes in some moment, I also was feeling very bad that I'm out of Ukraine. So I didn't get yet stabilized. I already left my country. I cannot back. I don't know what I need to do. And you are totally in this unstable period. And for sure, you will feel yourself very bad. But you just need to put yourself together and try to do something. I guess because we are young, and for young people, it is much easier to
Yeah.
adapt than, for example, for adults. For adults, it would be much more big disaster than for young.
But when you said lifestyle, do you mean like that Kiev is fast-paced, a lot of different people, international community, stuff
No,
like
it's
that?
not about international community, but it's more about that first you have so many small things for kids here and there, all kind of shops, all kind of entertainments. Here you will not find it, or you will find it, but it's super limited and it is not to the level like you used to have, and it's not in around you. So for example, again, as I said, because you have very high density of population, for example, in Kiev, you can go 5 minutes or 10 minutes within your house. You will have dancing class for kids. You will have swimming, drawing, whatever. Here, I'm struggling to find drawing classes at all. They are just by course, for example. You can have 5 weeks if you want, but I want permanent, So I want permanent lessons of this. Why I cannot have it? And all this kind of things. So the things here is different. And sometimes
But why not London
yeah,
then?
no, in London it's very big and I'm not living there. And it's also not like Kiev somehow from another point of view, because London, it's so many small cities connected together to one big. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, it has for sure much more things. But I'm not there, and I didn't find for myself now the reason why I really need to live there, as it is much more expensive and doesn't bring me personally right now more value than here, for example. And I'm just 1 hour, so I can drive every day if I want. But yeah, in general, it's sometimes I'm pinpointing these things in my video, and some people, they are really, I don't know, you don't like anything, you come like refugee. I said, it's not that I don't like, if you don't want to tell me the differences or what I'm noticing, I will not tell. But it's not that or you're complaining. It's not a complaint, it's a fact, Here you have the things in Ukraine. I believe that this field is more developed than in UK. It's a fact. This is what I believe, but doesn't mean that I'm complaining, because I can tell you 10 things which is more developed in UK than in Ukraine. So it's fine. Just, depends from which angle you're looking at the things.
Honestly, I didn't know that much about Ukraine before the war. Didn't know that much about Kiev. All my knowledge kind of came after the war, and it's hard to believe, but I'm kind of interested about Kiev now. Like, I want to go.
Yeah, there is so much people.
Of course, it's war,
a lot of ideas is that after the war will finish, we will have a huge amount of tourists, and they can see that like Second World War in real life, because you missed that time, but now you still can come and see all this.
They're gonna go watch the destroyed Russian vehicles in a row
and vehicles and everything. Yeah, I guess it's true, and the prices will grow up somehow also back. So yeah, that's an interesting.
I definitely wanna. And also like hearing people. Oh, Eastern Europe, right? It's Poland. No, Poland is EU. Ukraine, Eastern Europe, right? No, Ukraine is like a very developed nation compared to if you go to the other side of Urals. Like Kiev, you go into Kiev, you wouldn't actually notice that it's like part of this Eastern European capital. It's a very shiny new city center.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? You couldn't even tell.
Because I guess we have, I'm not sure, maybe because we have some part of shade economy, maybe because we have difference between people who earn a lot and people who earn very little money. So we have this and that. Because many people look at the average salary. Oh, the average salary sounds like $300 per month. How it could be that apartment cost $100,000 and this is just in some residential area and this is something like one bedroom apartment. It should be 15,000. Even now people are writing me, I have $15,000 maybe, and you thought the prices drop, so I want to buy something in downtown. I said the prices didn't drop to this level. Prices in downtown was 350,000 for one bedroom apartment before war.
In Kiev.
Yeah, if you go for
hell.
for historical building, it's not everything, but now it dropped, but it is not 350, now it is 280, for example, but it is not 15,000.
Didn't drop that much.
200.
No, what the hell?
It is still not 15,000, and I don't think it would
It is expensive.
ever drop to 15,000 unless.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, second thought, I don't know if I want to go to Kiev. I mean,
No, but it's if you will go to downtown and historical places. If you will go to, you can find something, but it is not such cheap like some people thinking. And some services are not such cheap like people thinking, and so on. There is cheap things, there is things more expensive. I was comparing even to UK because many guys writing me that UK is very expensive. And I start thinking that you need to compare everything in complex comparing to your income. So, for example, car prices are the same, electronic prices are the same, but our income is 4 times lower than income of average British person.
How's that fair?
Yeah,
like
this is the price, this is the international price. So you pay it anywhere in the world, but it's much easier to afford it here than afford it there. At the same time, if you will go for services like hairdressers or something, for sure it would be much more expensive here than in Ukraine. But you need to compare everything in complex, so it's hard to say.
The most, yesterday was a historic day for Estonians because, we are one of the lowest average wages in EU, and our gas prices just rose over €2 per liter for the first time ever in humanity's history. So for gallon, Americans, I don't know how much it is, but it's like $6 per gallon, $7 per gallon. It's incredibly expensive for us. People are this is a meme. Rich people in USA doing yachts, super yachts, partying. Rich people in Estonia, they're just filling up their car because it's so expensive now because of the war. €2 per liter. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But how is it? Do you remember how was it in Ukraine?
I remember, but now it's very hard to say, even because the exchange rate changed. But I was calculating that the prices is still cheaper in Ukraine now during the war. It is still cheaper than in Europe anywhere that we were driving, because we were driving from Denmark, we crossed Poland, we crossed Germany, so we saw the prices, and now I see prices in UK. So still.
How much is it in UK?
In UK it is £1.6, so it's about €2, I guess. Also.
Per liter.
I
it's
guess
the same,
it is somehow.
Which is cheap because UK's average wage is 2 times Estonia's average wage, and we have to, like you said.
So comparing that, it is very expensive, 100%. For sure, if you earning the same money, and you can say here it's more life for me more expensive, but if you are working in totally different conditions, it's hard for me to say how much you really spend or save more or less.
So in Kiev city center, for example, you're a tourist. You want to go have a meal, food and dessert and some drink.
No, I guess
how much would it be?
Food is cheap in general. So if you will talk about before war, you would pay something like maybe $20, and you will have very nice lunch or something like that. So it's not expensive. Food is not expensive in Ukraine in general. So if I will compare to UK, going to any restaurant here, you will pay much more money that you will have in Kiev, and we have nice restaurants. But at the same time, we have some things which is more expensive. As I said, it is car, electronics, and clothes, for example. If you go for the same brands, you will have them in Europe. You will have them always cheaper than in Ukraine.
I just this was I think 2 weeks old news or 1 week. McDonald's is going crazy right now in Ukraine. They know the war is going on, but they're opening one restaurant a week in Ukraine, all over Ukraine. despite that they might be attacked and everybody's running away, with the money. But McDonald's is like, okay, Ukrainians, you want burgers? Here you go. Take the burgers. They're opening like crazy right now.
And they're doing great. I'm sure they have
I think so,
income not less than they had before, because I don't remember when was the first one that opened, maybe in August or something. And they was working only for delivery, so you cannot go dine in. And then they were showing that they are flooded of all global, this like delivery guys. They are all flooded by them. And yeah, it was always off the record,
I'm not going to hide it. I love McDonald's. I love the way it tastes. I would eat it every day if I wouldn't go fat, but I love the taste, like as much as they can, like give them to Ukraine, because it's, you get this taste of that the Western companies are not abandoning, they're coming, they're giving the food and investing money. I mean, I think it's a good message to send, honestly. And you get to order a burger.
I guess it's not about that McDonald's is really tasty. I guess if you really want burger or something, you can find equal one anywhere else in Ukraine. But just because you had it and it became not available, and you were waiting for it, and here it opened. Okay, now we need to go and buy and eat every day all this junk food.
I like it.
I like it also. Yeah. I see sometimes it's very convenient, but I guess there is a moment also that it became not available and available again. And that is pushing people.
Hey, let me say, if Estonia would lose McDonald's and it would come back, I would be crying on the door, man. I would like, oh, please, yes, give me the cheeseburger. Yeah. For some reason, it goes back to childhood for me. Like, we got first McDonald's in 1995 in my home city right now. We got it. And people had never tasted anything like it. It was the first ever, like, Western chain that came. And it cemented in people's minds, this is what freedom tastes like.
Yeah, that's true. And in Ukraine, it opened, I'm not sure, maybe also in 90s, but in my native city, they opened just in 2021. And you need to see a huge crowd, You're thinking, 2021, you already eat it 1 million times everywhere. But they were having huge crowd. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Thousands of people. Yeah, so that.
I know people in America like cringe McDonald's. It's the worst way to eat, but in this part of the world, it is not only food. It's actually like a message of change that we're getting these Western companies. We're getting this food, this burger. I know it's bad for you. Don't eat it every day, but it's it's different than in US. In US, McDonald's is considered like the worst, crappiest junk food ever. Like nobody wants it. But in Estonia, everybody loves McDonald's.
But I guess the source of the things in Ukraine and in, at least in Ukraine and in US is different. So we use Ukrainian meat, we use Ukrainian, as I know, Ukrainian potato. Yeah. And it's all certified and they have high standards. So you know that the food is somehow, so maybe the standards for meat in US is different and you don't know what they're using actually there, or they just used to eat. And they have many of such kind of things like McDonald's. But we actually in Ukraine, we almost don't have any brands except KFC and McDonald's. All others is not available. Like Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, all these kind of things. We don't have them.
Oh, no, Dunkin' Donuts, no. I watched the channel, Russian dude, Roman. I don't know if you know him. He has like over 1 million subscribers. He's like pro-Western kind of. And he made the video about what happened to Russian McDonald's, Вкусная точка, the tasty period. That's the new name, which is such a horrible name. I don't know why. And he made a video how because to make the fries in McDonald's, you need this certain kind of potatoes. You can't make it randomly. You need like a very specific kind of potato. And they bought McDonald's Вкусная точка, right? And they don't have these potatoes because they were imported from the West. And they couldn't make any potatoes because in Russian potatoes, you couldn't make fries out of them. So
I can
they had this issue.
How it tastes. But but this is always, I'm thinking, if Russia is so much proud that they're such a big country, you don't need to try to copy anybody. Make your own things and be happy with that. Why you're copying it? Why you?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's so, they copy everything. Like they could make, like Ukraine in this war, we're talking about weapons now. US sends weapons. They say, okay, we cannot send this weapon. Ukraine is making their own versions of these weapons. I see, like they're very innovative, coding stuff and making drones, putting bombs on them. Like very incredibly innovative people doing their own things, not copying everything. Russia is not like that.
Yeah, Russia is totally not like that. This is we are definitely different people, and we cannot deny. And even besides that, somebody want to argue, no, you're the same or not the same. Russia is a huge country. Which has so many nationalities inside. If you want to claim that they are same Slavic like we, still this is a small part which is living around the Ukrainian border. What about all this which is living behind the Urals, like you said? or anybody else who totally has Asian look, totally different language, different religion, and all different. Totally, they are totally Asian, so they are not like we by any means. And for sure, they have different customs, they have different history for themselves, and different brain. So yeah, whatever it is.
Different brain. But Olga, I really have enjoyed talking to you. I think we can start wrapping up the podcast, and this is like a nice 15-minute podcast for us. I really love your positivity and your attitude towards this, and I can see it's very contagious. I'm like, today is gonna be lovely for me because this energy is
Thank you.
oh, you know. So Olga's channel is in the description below. Olga Reznikova is the name of the channel, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so you should go and subscribe to Olga. Also subscribe to my podcast. And thank you for coming on. Do you want to say something to the audience in the end?
Yeah, thanks for listening to our podcast to the end. And yeah, subscribe to my and Artur channel for sure. He is very great YouTuber. I saw his YouTube channel. He's doing very great, awesome videos about Ukraine. So you definitely don't miss it.
All right. Thank you, my friends. I'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.